Hey, what are you doing?
Huh? Oh, I'm just looking at TikTok. I'm trying to figure out a way to, up our TikTok game. I don't have that many followers.
What are we doing this week? Cyrano?
Yeah, Cyrano. Dinklage.
I think I got something.
Cyrano, Cyrano, oh, Cyrano.
So what do you think?
Cyrano, Cyrano, oh, Cyrano.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Tavern Talk. I'm Philip, and joining me this week is Mr. Omaya Jones.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. Omaya curated, pre-pandemic times, I guess we should say, curated a film series for the Arkansas Times. Mm-hmm. You'd pick a movie, they'd show it at a local theater, and I'm assuming we'd kind of have discussions about it afterwards and stuff, but also has done a lot with the film scene in Central Arkansas. So I know you're just very involved in general, so thank you for taking the time to be here.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, I know things have kind of slowed down and everything with that series, but any plans to try to do something new in the future?
There are some plans. I don't want to talk about them too prematurely, but rest assured that I have a team of people, and we are working to get something started in that vein again as soon as everybody feels like it's safe and comfortable to do so.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I just love that stuff like that is happening around here, and so, and I appreciate there are people like you who are doing things like that, and making those types of events happen, and just places for people like ourselves who enjoy film and want to have a community like that here in a place Hollywood isn't too keen to recognize too often, and that's kind of clear. This is a terrible segue. I was going to say that's kind of clear in the movie we're talking about this week, because it's a period romantic drama / musical that is probably the fifth or sixth retelling of this story, but this time it's in musical form. It was written as a musical recently based off the play that was written, I think, in the 1800s. We're talking about Cyrano, which is obviously based on Cyrano de Bergerac. There was a 50s movie.
Well, tell me, why are you staring at my nose?
There was a movie in the 90s, a French film.
Hey! Dites-moi, pourquoi vous regardez mon nez?
There's obviously the Steve Martin Roxanne that was kind of based on this story.
It's hypnotic, isn't it?
And then there was a musical written for the stage.
I was commissioned to do an adaptation of the Rostand, Cyrano de Bergerac. It was to be a musical, and I cast Haley Bennett as Roxanne and Peter Dinklage as Cyrano. And we did the show, and Joe Wright came and saw it and said, I would like to make a film of your adaptation of Cyrano, and I'll direct it, and you'll write the screenplay. And I thought that was totally insane.
Joe Wright, who is known for his period pieces, whether that be Pride and Prejudice or Atonement or Anna Karenina. Most recently he directed a movie for Netflix that not many people watched, I don't imagine. But before that, he did Darkest Hour, which Gary Oldman won an Oscar for. But no, let's start there. Kind of giving some context for Cyrano. This one starring Peter Dinklage in the lead role, which is kind of a twist on the classic story in itself. Haley Bennett and Kelvin Harrison Jr. and Ben Mendelsohn. But what did you think of Cyrano? What was your kind of initial reaction to it?
Well, it was first surprise because about 4 or 5 minutes in, I realized it's a musical, which I did not know going in to the film.
Right.
I didn't realize that it was adapted from a play by Erica Schmidt, who was Peter Dinklage's wife. And I guess they worked on this together, and I think Haley Bennett was in that play as well.
Yeah.
And she is Joe Wright's partner, and that's how he got involved, was he, I guess, went to a rehearsal and saw it and immediately wanted to adapt it. And then a few years later, they jumped into it. So,
yeah. I did not realize the relationship aspects of
So
those.
it's like two power couples worked on this thing together at different stages.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And so knowing all of that after the fact, after reading it, I think that affected my viewing. It's also, it's just weird with a play, with something that's adapted from play, is usually how do you open it up
right.
when you film it. And I think they did a really good job because I was really struck by the visuals in terms of the setting, with like southern location, the costumes, and the performances as well. We can talk about it more, but some of the songs I like more than others, I'll say that.
That's an interesting point that you brought that up, because one of my things as I watched this was the tone and what it was going for, because there are certain, especially in there's the first song that Haley Bennett sings kind of as she's going through this town in a carriage, and you're like, oh, okay, this is nice. Like, this is really bringing out the romantic side in me and everything, and I can tell what side of me needs to like really latch onto this movie and enjoy it. And then you get to Peter Dinklage's introduction. I don't know if he's done or has a past with singing, or kind of how, if they catered this to him in any way. I'm not sure of that. But then his first number was a little campy and a kind of like almost like a slight rap.
You've lost your car. You don't remember how truth feels or what it's for.
And I was just like, okay, that's different than I expected. And then it kind of goes back and forth between the two for the rest of the movie. And it does kind of lean more into, like, there's one that he sings, I think it's called Overcome.
'Cause every time I see you, I am overcome.
That is kind of a duet with him and Haley Bennett, and I love that song. Like, it actually was like, oh man, this is amazing. I love this music, and the lyrics are great, obviously, because Cyrano is famous for being a writer, a great wordsmith and everything. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up kind of at the top there, because that was one of my main things that I couldn't kind of like figure out about the movie, is like, what I can see what tone it was going for, but as far as did it nail it or not, I kind of had a hard time coming to a conclusion on that.
Yeah, and I think, especially with the music, it's weird because I don't know what songs were original to the play.
Yeah, see,
and I know the National wrote the music for some original music for the film, where they took some of the monologues from the original play and turned turned those into songs. And I think those are the ones that are kind of hit and miss. So like the one that you mentioned, that opening, that's kind of like a rap thing, I thought was interesting because that made me think that this was going to have like sort of like a Hamilton vibe or something.
Right.
And all the characters would have a distinct way that they sang. But that wasn't really the case.
No.
Because none of the other songs were like that.
No. Yeah. I just didn't, like, that kind of took me out of it in a way that I was like it was funny. Like, I was kind of laughing along with it. But at the same time, I was like, it's a little cringy in spots, But I don't know, because like in the original also, the Cyrano character feels like he is ugly and will never be loved by Roxanne, who he can't, who he's like pined for since they were children, because he has this large nose. And in this one, it is just Dinklage's, stature that is kind of why he feels like he'll never be good enough. And then, of course, Kelvin Harrison's Christian comes into the fold, and the love triangle happens, and then the two kind of join forces, him with his looks and Cyrano with his words, to create this dream guy that Roxanne wants. But so it's a story like you've certainly heard before, and probably a lot of the stories since have taken a lot of the elements from Cyrano. But how did it, with that kind of mismatched tone, at least how it came off to me, did it affect you emotionally? Did it kind of do its job in that way?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I think I liked it. I liked the film. I don't think I was moved emotionally, except maybe towards, there's one number in particular, and I think that the name of the song is Wherever I Fall.
Okay.
Like Heaven is Wherever I Fall.
Heaven is wherever I fall.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that one I thought, and maybe this is because I just watched like another anti-war film before this, that song I thought was the most effective emotionally.
That melody is really, really good. As soon as you said it, like I can hear it. That's a great moment. And
wait, what happened? How did what? Yeah. Oh. What? Oh, hey.
Hey.
Hey. I don't know what happened there. I guess we had some technical difficulties. but we're doing our best to improvise. Still being at the movie tavern here. But thank you, Mr. Omaya Jones, for continuing to join me to talk about Cyrano. I think we were talking kind of about some of our favorite songs in the movie, and what we enjoyed, and the balancing of the tone between those different types of approaches stylistically as far as the songs go. But we can kind of use that as a segue, I guess, to talk about the performances and some of the ones you liked or maybe didn't like, or what you thought about them overall. What was kind of your take on Dinklage here and the rest of the supporting cast?
I liked all the performances. I think Peter Dinklage is a really talented actor, obviously, from years on Game of Thrones and other things. And he is really good at manipulating his face, and he does this thing with his brow, because he has this really prominent brow. So like you can tell, like he has this expert control of like this physicality, right? Haley Bennett, I have not seen her anything before. I know she was in Swallow last year, but I was also really taken with her performance. And she has this look, she just looks like really familiar and really comfortable. Yeah. And I didn't find any of the performances lacking. I think they were all really good.
I especially liked Dinklage's just because I really his whole arc here is like feeling incompetent and not good enough, but like also, other than his stature, he's kind of like the ideal guy that, that would be perfect for Haley Bennett's character. And you just really felt his longing and just his heartache about the whole situation down to that last scene.
The choice to make the issue of his self-confidence being his stature and not the nose, I think ditching the nose, like in the original story, it's just he has a very prominent nose, I guess, and that's also why the Steve Martin version is just sort of the same thing. And I think that seems really shallow, or just sort of like not something that's worth ruining your whole life over, unless you are dealing with a lot of vanity. But I think the insecurity here for the Dinklage character, for Cyrano, feels more authentic. And the only other thing I would say about the music is also interesting that I guess they did it live on set, which I think is like a new trend, I guess. Right? Like I know, like after Les Mis, and they made a big deal about that being done live on set. Yeah, it's sort of a similar thing. And so I think that helps the music carry the performances as well.
Yeah. I was also going to ask, I don't know if you're like super familiar with past incarnations of this story or anything, and I didn't know if this was something that they've kind of done in the update with the music, but talking about Haley Bennett's performance, she, like, her character is very independent. She has that one line about I'm not just a flower, and kind of all this stuff. And I didn't know if they kind of updated that to make it, more modern, more progressive in a way and stuff like that, or if it was just something that had always been instilled in that character.
That I don't know. I mean, my experience of watching this film was that somewhere maybe like 30 minutes in, it started to seem really familiar, and I guess that I had not actually, like, I hadn't seen the Steve Martin version, I hadn't seen any previous version, but there were like bits and things in the movie that I recognized, like when the Cyrano character is speaking for the other character and Haley Bennett is on the balcony, right? And I was like, oh yeah, this is like a familiar sort of trope. And then at some point I realized, like, oh, I know this story. And I guess it's one of those ones that's probably been retold so many times over the years that we don't realize that this might be where a lot of it comes from. Yeah, so I think some of the songs are interesting, right? So like a lot of the speeches and things from a play are turned into songs here by members of the National. And then I think it's also interesting that they shot on location, and part of that included being on an active volcano. So
yeah. Hey, there's a child on my lap now. But one thing I did always appreciate about Joe Wright's movies was, I mean, obviously he's kind of famous for that 7-minute one-take shot in Atonement. And I've always appreciated his stylistic choices, especially in his period pieces. So I knew, with him, this being the first time he was doing a musical, that I should expect some kind of grandiose extravagance. And I was glad to see, in a studio system that shoots on green screens and sets a lot, that real location stuff was really I hate to use the word breathtaking, but it kind of was. But anyway, what would you we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Thanks to Movie Tavern for letting us check it out here. But what Cyrano, what would you give out of 5 stars? What would be your 5-star rating?
Out of 5 stars, I guess I would get this film 3.5. Right? I liked it. I enjoyed it. I think I would watch it again. But there's something that I think is holding it back from being great, and I'm not quite sure what that is.
Yeah, sorry, I had another head pop in there for a second. Look. Oh, there we go.
Hi.
No, actually, I'm right there with you. 3.5 is exactly what I was going to say as well. I would definitely want to see it again. I usually end up watching Joe Wright's movies a couple times, except for that last Woman in the Window Netflix one. But other than that, I tend to revisit his. But anyway, oh my goodness, we're just getting overcrowded in this theater.
We're not in a theater.
Oh, okay. They can't hear you. All right. Well, thank you, Omaya, so much for joining me. Sorry this has been such a weird journey of a review, but thank you for joining me. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you later. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it, and hopefully we can do this again soon properly.
All right. Awesome. Take care.
You too. Thanks so much.